Right, we're going to quickly talk about the clone and heal tools in Photoshop and Lightroom, and I'm just going to quickly run through the differences between both and when you would use each one. Now, to do that, I'm going to use this photo of our roof I took earlier. It's just a snapshot taken with a point and shoot, so please excuse the grain and everything. But what I'm going to do is get rid of this cable that's going into the house, and I'm going to show you which tools are best to use when. So if we just zoom in to the right of the house over here, I'm going to try and do it first of all using the healing brush. And you can see over here I've got it selected already. I've got a pretty small brush just so because it's going to be quite detailed work, and I've got the hardness set to 0, so it's a very soft edged brush. Now as I start working on this, you'll see that the healing brush isn't really good for this kind of job, and I'll show you why. If I press Alt, it brings up the target symbol, and then I pick a part of the sky that I want to target to fill where the line is and replace it with. So if I click an area here that's very similar to the sky, and I left click and then let go, and then I just simply start left clicking again without the Alt key this time, and then just start painting away. You can see it gets rid of the line there, the wire, but as I get close to the building and stop about there, I've still got my finger on the button, but if I now let go, you can see it's pulled a lot of detail from the roof and dragged it into the sky, so we've got this kind of smoky effect which isn't really good. So the healing brush isn't really good for this kind of job. So if I revert back by using Control Alt Z, I'll get back to where I was. Now if I select the clone brush, it's pretty much the same kind of tool. I've got the same diameter, I've got the same hardness of 0, so it's a soft brush. And now if I select the part of the sky that I want to use, again I Alt left click and select that part of the sky, and then left click again, start painting away. You can see now as we get to the building, it's going a bit closer. If I now take my finger off the button, it's fine and it's actually worked. But I've got this bit of sky here where it's slightly different, but I can work on that in a minute by using the clone brush again. But the healing brush. The clone brush is much better for detailed work, and you'll see why. I have to make this slightly smaller now, and if I select a part of the roof here by again pressing Alt and left clicking and then come over to the roof and then start painting away, I can then clone in parts of the roof that's similar to where I'm trying to clone over. So again, we've got to get rid of this bit here and just keep Alt clicking to pick similar parts of the roof around the area that I'm cloning over, and then clone it away. So again here I've got one of these juts that comes out of the tile, so if I pick one nearby that's very similar and I target the middle by pressing Alt, left click, and then take the finger off and then left click again and start painting away, it's exactly the same as the tile over there, so I know it's going to be okay. And then do the same here, and then down to the pipe here. Now when I'm doing this, it's important to make sure you get the right area. If I selected the white bit here and then started cloning down here, it would look silly. So what I've got to do is select an area that's exactly the same as where I'm going to start cloning, which is about there, and then just bring it down because it's all on even lines. Oh, gone a bit wrong there. And then just bring it down right down to the house itself. So we've now got rid of that line along the house by using the clone tool, and you can see it's better than the healing brush, but remember this bit here looks slightly darker than it should be. So if I now select the healing brush, click the sky, and then just jazz it over there, it's got rid of that and blended it. The healing brush is great for blending. The clone brush does an exact replica of what you're trying to clone. So if we've got these two spots in the sky here, if I use the cloning brush, this does an exact clone. So if I pick this part of the sky that's quite dark and take my target area from there and then start cloning, when I take my finger off, I've left a great big dark area in the sky, so that's no good. So Control Alt Z, get rid of that. If I now select the healing brush, and even if I select target a dark part of the sky, when I left click and start getting rid of that, you can see it goes dark, but as soon as I let go, it heals it and it basically blends the whole sky in. So it's a much better way of doing it. But again, I've got the healing brush to get rid of a spot here, but because it's so close to the building, if I take a part of the sky, start healing that, it pulls detail from the roof. So when it's this close, you can either take it from the side, same distance that the spot's there, and it won't do it. It won't pull away from the actual building. Or you can just again use the clone brush and take it from the side and do it that way. So those two brushes are good for different things. I would say that the healing brush is great for spots or blemishes or bits of dust in the sky, that kind of thing. and the cloning tool is better for more intricate work where you've got things like this brickwork you need to work around. So have a practice with those two, because you'll probably find that you'll use them quite a lot when you get really into digital photography. But that's how you use those in Photoshop. We're now going to flip over to Lightroom and show you how different it is in there. Okay, we've now got the same photo open in Lightroom, and to get into the clone and heal brush up here, you have to go into this spot removal tool here and click on it, and when you do, it opens up this palette where you've got a clone and heal. So let's start off again with the healing brush. No, actually, let's start with the clone brush and do it properly, and you'll see why it is so different. If we zoom into this, let's go to about there. If we zoom in, and this is where this is slightly different, because you don't do an alt and pick a target point in the sky for this one. What you do is actually, I'm not touching anything here apart from the mouse. If I just put the cursor over the part I want to remove, which is there, so it's intersecting with the line and the house and the sky, and I then press left click on the mouse, I've got the mouse still pressed down, and I'm going to drag away, and it will replace it with wherever I take my finger off the mouse button. So I need to find somewhere that's very similar to that bit of roof. So if I line this up perfectly about there, let go of the mouse, and presto, it's done. So I then do that for the rest of the image with the other bits here, and move it into the sky. That's done, and again it's done, and again it's done. So all I'm doing is my left hand isn't touching anything, my right hand is just clicking the left part of the mouse and dragging it to a part of the sky that I want to replace it with, and that's that done. So if I click on that, you can see that that's pretty much done the job there. But now we need to do the more intricate bits where it gets a bit more difficult. So I need a smaller brush, and I need to really get in close. So I then pick the line here, and I'd have to pick a very similar part of the roof to actually get it looking realistic. You can see it's very, very fine work on this one. It's a lot more difficult than Photoshop, because you're left with these circles all over the place, which you can actually expand, but this is a lot more difficult and a lot more intricate than it is in Photoshop. Again, got to pick that, and I've got to take it up to the very similar corner so that the cloned area looks pretty much the same as it did before. But you can see you get left with a lot of work to do. So if you have got Photoshop, cloning like this is a lot easier to do in Photoshop, I think, anyway. Once you get the hang of this, I'm sure it's a lot quicker, but you know, this can be quite difficult. Good thing about this is, once you've actually left a circle there, you can actually expand the circle, and you know, you can kind of, once you get the hang of this, it can be extremely quick to do, but it's just getting the hang of it. So if you've got Lightroom, it's worth having a play with this, but again, if you've got Photoshop for this intricate kind of work, I think Photoshop's a bit easier to do the cloning tool with. The healing brush is pretty much the same. If we just have a quick play with that, it's the same sort of thing. You pick a part of an area you want to heal, target it, and then just drag away into a part of the area you want to target, and it will heal it. Same here. If I click that, I've actually selected a very small part of the roof, so I'm going to need to go over to here and select a part of the roof as well, and that's done. So if you've got Lightroom, it's worth playing, because it still does a good job, but it's just a bit more work involved, and you can see there we've still got a bit of work to do. It's not quite as quick as Photoshop. So if you have got the Lightroom and Photoshop, have a play with the clone and heal tools, because they really are worth learning. Because if you want to start cleaning up blemishes for portraits, and if you want to start getting rid of logos and trademarks for stock photography, then you're going to have to learn how to use those. But I hope that kind of gives you a head start on what to do and how to use them. But as I said, the best thing to do is just get out and practice.